The trouble with people coming round is that you've got to try and find somewhere to hide all the detritus, all the stuff of everyday life, you know, which we all need to live. It's a universal problem, even for the people who live in the houses on the long list for House of the Year. I mean, especially for them.
It's that time of year again to find the Royal Institute of British Architects House of the Year.
The vault is really something special, isn't it?
The judges have looked at hundreds of entries across the entire length and breadth of the UK to make up a long list for the 2019 prize.
It's confusing, but it's beautiful. And ultimately, it's your heart that tells you.
From exquisitely crafted boxes.
These are all made from cork block. It's a giant dartboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
To homes that are breathtaking in scale and ambition. You got some big chimneys.
It's not everybody's cup of tea.
These are all homes that you'll enjoy looking around.
I spent a lot of time staring into the windows. I'm quite nosy and I enjoy having a look.
The houses we'll see will be cut down to a shortlist of just 7. Before we find out in the final programme which is House of the Year 2019.
We love this room.
I bet you blinking well do.
From all the long-listed houses we're looking at, I've taken it upon myself to separate them into 4 loose categories. In later episodes, we'll be looking at houses that respond to their surroundings, houses that are down to earth, and houses all about materials and craftsmanship. First up, though, we're looking at experimental houses.
These are all pioneering, innovative homes that push at the boundaries of what's possible. Think of them as modern-day explorers, boldly going where no house has gone before. Like the Flint House, which was the winner in 2015, these are all places that are right on the cutting... Ow!
Helping me to look around this outstanding group are my friends, the design expert and writer Michelle Ogundehin.
That is absolutely epic. I mean, there's no other word for it.
And the architect Damion Burrows.
When my mother saw this, she asked me when I was going to grow up.
Oh, great.
Did you know that Play-Doh was invented for cleaning wallpaper? Or that the Slinky was originally designed as part of some stabilising equipment for ships? No. Goes to show, doesn't it, that actually existing ideas with perfectly good applications can be reinvented and turned to much greater commercial success. Which begs the question, what are the houses of the future going to be made from? No, that's ridiculous.
Our first long-listed house is in a town of privilege and gentility. Eton in Berkshire, a surprising testbed for a new experimental design project.
This can't be it. Hello, Dido.
Yes,
Hi.
good morning.
Matt.
Hi.
How are you? Yeah, very well. You?
Very well, thanks.
Good. I'm assuming this is not your innovative experiment, or is
It's
it?
been here a couple of 100 years.
This one,
Yeah.
You have to step into the back garden of Matt and Dido's house to find this. It's called Cork House. Yep, it's a house constructed out of cork. The walls, the roof, almost everything is made of, well, cork. It is the first of its kind in the UK. Beneath the 5 pyramidal roofs lies a modest sitting room adjoining a kitchen with a bedroom at one end and a bathroom and hidden sleeping area at the other. Under the 5th roof is a passageway and covered seating area. Cork House's pioneering owners and designers are Matthew Barnett Howland and Dido Milne. They wanted to experiment with a way of building a house as simply as possible.
It's quite primitive caveman stuff. Big, 1/2 metre thick blocks of cork, one on top of the other, with no glue or mortar.
I mean, that's like Lego.
Plant-based Lego.
Plant-based Lego.
We just got more and more interested in cork and all the properties as a sustainable building material and, you know, trying to push it to its absolute maximum.
I like that.
Solid, simple, sustainable construction.
Cork's a wonder material. Strong, soundproof, rot-resistant and a fantastic insulator. It is also sustainable, harvested from the bark of living trees which regenerate. There's a lot of air in cork, so the bricks are worryingly light.
The roof lights act as paperweights to hold down the whole structure because there's no glue holding it down, otherwise it would blow away.
So you're telling me that these pyramidal structures, which are all made from cork block, are not glued, they're not mortared, they are simply blocks resting on each other, and you stick a great big skylight at the top of each pyramid,
Yes.
and that's stopping it from blowing away.
Yes.
Radical.
The RIBA judges admired Cork House for the way it simplifies the construction process and for the way it puts sustainability at the heart of the design, all the while forming an intriguing and inventive home.
Lead on and lead in. This is lovely.
Inside, the natural cork has been left unfinished. Solid timber frames at either end of the space help brace the walls, and the skylights above, of course, cast light on the beautifully simple interior.
These ziggurats, they sort of lift the soul towards the heavens. But I can't get over the multi-sensory nature of the material. Do you know what I mean? Smell, sound, touch.
Yeah, that's thanks to the cork.
Yeah. What noise does the wall make?
Give it a good thump.
Yeah? It doesn't yield, but it's not hard. It's springy. Could you paint it?
I mean, you could put a lime render on the inside if you wanted and have a finish. I mean, at the moment, it's a sort of potentially a big pin board.
So it is. Or a giant dartboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be careful what you aim for, though. Not everything here is made of cork.
These are the sprinkler system, and this is for power up to the roof light and the smoke detectors.
Right.
But as there's nowhere to hide, it's important what it looks like. So then we do have design decisions about, you know, how do you want to set the sprinklers out to make it an architectural feature.
Matt and Dido have built a house that's beautiful, atmospheric, and understated.
So, you have to ask, in a building like this, where is the glamour, the glitz, the bling, all that lovely shiny stuff? The answer is in here.
In the company of a mirror brass bath, you can seek refuge both from others and from cork. This is a cork-free haven, though it too has a ziggurat roof, a painted one, because they've squeezed in another bedroom above it. The most dramatic bedroom, though, is downstairs at the end of the house.
Oh, yeah. What an amazing vaulted space.
It's great when you're lying in bed, essentially under it.
Can I try that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You lie on the bed and you...
Yeah.
Oh, man, if I look straight up, the thing just almost like a bellows on a camera. It just kind of...
Yes, comes around
just
you,
sort of
yeah.
seems to move. How do you sleep in here?
Remarkably well. We've had quite a few friends saying how amazingly restorative it is.
I'm enjoying this too much to actually want to get up.
Matt and Dido spent 6 years designing Cork House. They started the project with Matt's father, William, who was also an architect. He sadly passed away, but left them some money to continue their cork experiment.
He was very good at telling you not to give up and do it again.
That's probably where where it rubbed off most on me.
Matt and Dido co-designed Cork House with the architect Oliver Wilton. Before they built the house, they constructed cork models, then engineered full-size blocks in a lab to to test out the interlocking system they'd evolved.
I'm going to slide this one along. In
Yeah,
fact,
please
these
do.
Yeah, so two together are a little substantial in weight. Can we slide this one along so
Yeah,
you
let
can
me-
see the
Yep.
joint? There.
Here we go.
It's snug on. Look
Yep.
at that. And then do the same thing with this.
Yeah, you okay, sir.
And suddenly you become an expert builder in this system. Is that on? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
on.
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Just
Wow.
built your first cork wall.
I feel as though I've also... It's like building a piece of...
That's 3 down, but it took 1,200 blocks to make Cork House. Staggering. Equally amazing is that when the building reaches the end of its working life, it can be taken apart, brick by brick, and put in the soil to biodegrade. Sustainable design is fundamentally important now, and it's thrilling to imagine what Cork House might inspire.
There's no doubt this project is enormously innovative, experimental even. But its magic, its specialness, doesn't come from trickery or sorcery, illusion, sleight of hand. It comes instead from a profound sense of wonder. We've seen one wild, experimental home. There are 4 more to go before we discover which of them are in the running to be crowned House of the Year. Experimenting on yourself is a risky business. A science is littered with ill-fated stories of self-administered potions and first and last trips in flying machines. So, if you're going to experiment in building a new kind of home, is it wise to start with your own? Well, yes, of course.
The next house on our long list of cutting-edge homes can be found in the South Downs of West Sussex. In this place, rich in Roman history, Michel Ogundehin has come to have a look at this. Is it a rebuilt Roman ruin? Or a Palladian Italian farmhouse? Maybe a castle, what with those arrow slit windows? No. It's Nithurst Farm, a truly experimental family home. It was designed by the architect Adam Richards.
I've always loved old buildings, and that's partly why I became an architect. And so it's great to be able to find ways of adapting them for today.
Nithurst Farm was his testing ground. It was built for him, his wife Jessica, and their 3 young children.
I had a big filing cabinet of ideas that I wanted to try out.
It was very important to balance the ideas with the practicalities of a family home.
The large double-height central space on the ground floor houses the kitchen and dining area with a formal sitting room and children's playroom bookending the space. On the first floor are the 2 children's rooms, plus 3 further guest rooms and a family bathroom, with the master bedroom located on the top floor.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hello, hello. Well, this is all quite monumental, isn't it?
It's like a modern house wrapped in a Roman ruin. There's quite a lot of Roman sort of remains around here, and we wanted to design something that sort of felt as though it had always been here in a way.
So you wanted to kind of reference ancient stuff but make a modern house.
Exactly that, yeah. The Romans loved bricks, and their empire was sort of built with things like viaducts and aqueducts. We love the idea of taking this primary building material, the brick, and making a contemporary house with it.
Roman bricks were considerably smaller than the ones used in most modern houses, but Adam needed 30,000 of them. He could only afford cheaper, standard bricks. So he came up with a novel way of achieving a similar result.
We use these very thick mortar joints to play a bit of a game of scale with your eye with the bricks, so you can't tell whether it's a small Roman-sized brick or a normal-sized brick.
So they're normal-sized bricks, but then the mortar is twice as big.
3 times as big.
3 times as
Yeah,
big
yeah,
as normal.
The idea of super thick mortar to suggest that the bricks are tiny was a new one for their main contractor, Matthew Duke.
From your perspective, did you just think, oh, this is architectural madness? Why do that?
There was a certain
amount of why. There's a risk of the mortar either being too wet or not mixed well enough before it's used, so it can sag if you're not gentle with laying the bricks. Every mix has got to be absolutely accurate to avoid the colour variation, which would jump out a mile on this brickwork.
They couldn't lay the mortar for 6 months while they waited for the right weather. But Adam's experiment has been a success. He's made a building that is utterly of its time, and yet it seems to resonate with the classical world that was once here, in this place. The house was longlisted by the judges from the Royal Institute of British Architects because of its chameleon-like charm. It seems neither old nor new, somewhere in between.
Oh, wow.
The inside is equally intriguing, like a modern concrete church.
Well, it was important for us to have a big main space for the children and for our family to be in, and for the kitchen to be in the centre of that space.
When we were looking at the design, we realised that actually there's this sort of great history of medieval great halls where the whole household lived in one big space, and there would be a fire in the middle, people would live, eat, even sleep in this great hall.
Although we don't sleep in here.
Modelling a family home on a communal great hall makes a lot of sense. But medieval architects never had to think about where to put the washing machine. Adam, however, is a modern man and has hidden away a utility room, a study, a cloakroom, and a larder in a series of thick concrete pillars that are supporting the double-height ceiling.
These look like massive towers. Is that what's holding it all up?
That's right, yes. They're holding up the building, but they're also doing useful jobs. So all the things that are often tucked away at the back of a house, they're all open onto this big one main space.
Clever. And when sharing one big room all gets too much, go left through this door to reach the tranquility of a fine and formal living room.
Oh, how wonderful. See, with your big great hall in the other room, I kind of assumed that was all of your living space, but then you've created this wonderful little sort of more private room for yourself.
This is like the cosy room.
I love how here, to get that cosier feel, you've literally cloaked the walls in kind of what looks like very sort of old tapestries.
The big main space can sometimes feel quite chaotic.
No.
So it's a relief to come in here.
So, a left turn from the Great Hall takes you to peace and quiet, but a right turn leads to a mysterious secret passage.
It's all got a bit dark and twisty, turny back of house now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Oh, hello. Hello. Oh, this is going to be very handy for keeping an eye on the kids, isn't it?
It certainly is. We can sort of shout bath time from here without having to go all the way down.
And a kind of great hall, you would have had a kind of gallery like this, wouldn't you?
You might assume that a house steeped in layers of historical reference takes itself too seriously. But this place is practical and playful, built with family life in mind. It took over 2 years from start to finish to build this house. The concrete skeleton was put up first before it could be clad with bricks. Everyone was very keen to get it finished quickly.
It took ages to make the concrete skeleton.
Really?
It took about a year, and then they did the bricks for about a year, and then they did the rest in about a year. And we went there every weekend, so that got a bit boring.
You can't get bored here now, though. There are 6 bedrooms to play hide and seek in, and another secret staircase leading to a bathroom hidden, again, in one of the giant concrete pillars. And there are more secrets on the top floor.
Our bedroom is in this cupboard.
Oh, may I?
Please do.
Oh, but which way do I go?
Well, there are 2 bedrooms here as opposed to 1 because we have a bit of an issue with snoring.
I'm the snorer, but Jessie's a very light sleeper.
So Adam didn't want to be always going off to a small room in shame. So we have 2 rooms the same.
That's a very, very modern solution, isn't it?
Yeah, we realised that there's no point designing an amazing master bedroom that one of us would constantly be not sleeping in. So we just thought, why not make 2 mirror image bedrooms and then just join them along the front here.
Marital harmony may have driven the design brief upstairs, but the house was built for the whole family. Adam's plans romantically draw on and then reinterpret centuries of beautiful architectural ideas. It is wonderful.
Adam and Jessica took a risk with the experimental nature of their home, and it could have ended up being a bit of an architectural folly. But instead, it's a fantastic family home. But best of all, the children get to grow up in their very own castle.
So far, we've seen 2 groundbreaking experimental houses. We've 3 more to go.
Oh, it's beautiful. Very sculptural room.
Before we discover which of them the RIBA judges have shortlisted for House of the Year. The minimalist composer, John Cage, once wrote a piece of music called 4 minutes 33 seconds, which comprised nothing but total silence. Don't worry, this isn't it. We just couldn't afford the copyright. And actually, it's for piano, not guitar. Anyway, it proves the point that in order to be experimental, you do not need to be loud. And in this vein, our next experimental longlister is quietly placed on the edge of the charming and traditional Peak District. Architect Damion Burrows has come to take a look.
This is a really beautiful part of the world with row after row of stone-built cottages. But in amongst all of this comforting regularity, it makes it exciting when someone shakes things up just a little bit.
This is Stackyard, a Derbyshire stone cottage that just slightly distorts and warps what you'd expect to find in the village. Placed oddly at 90 degrees to the road, with no standard tiled roof either, rather corrugated cement. The plywood inside is also not what you'd expect. Stackyard is a low-key experiment by architect James Boone, who designed it for him and his wife, Carol.
We were living in a big open plan, 3-bedroomed, semi-detached house in Derby.
We did make the conscious decision that we didn't want children. And suddenly we realised how much we were rattling around. It takes a lot of time to clean this. It takes a lot of time to maintain the garden.
It was a waste of a really lovely house. So we decided that we were going to try and find somewhere a little bit smaller.
So they built their own, in a village they knew and loved. You enter the house from the side via the south-facing courtyard, which provides a welcoming private space. The ground floor consists of a guest bedroom, utility, bathroom and master bedroom. Upstairs, there's a double-height kitchen and living area with a cosy study for good measure.
Hi.
Hi.
James, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Carol.
Hello.
Great to meet you. The style of the house fits in with the rest of the village, but you've clearly moved this conversation on. The size of the window openings, they're not what you would normally associate with a cottage in Derbyshire.
They're one of the elements that allows us to show that it is a modern building, and I think people, they can see this is something a little bit different.
Not least in its shape. James decided against building a conventional rectangular plan. Instead, the house was turned on its side and shape-shifted to the irregular plot size, leaving more space for a south-facing garden.
We had quite a big garden before, and I wanted to take the essence of that with us. We thought we'll just have to kind of compress everything to almost miniature. We need just one veg bed, so we squeezed one in, and then I've got a miniature greenhouse.
Well, that's one way to downsize, shrink everything. The experiment continues inside.
See, this is unusual.
James and Carol built this house for under £160,000, which meant finding a low-cost but beautiful way of finishing the interior. So they covered the walls with plywood.
put plywood up, you've got to get it right first time, but once it's up, that's it, it's done, and it's beautiful. We wanted to get away from plasterboard walls where you've got to put in certain skirtings and architraves and you've got to skim it and paint it and paint it. And there's all these different layers and trades that have to come through. We did at first have a few people say, when are you painting the walls?
It might take visiting townsfolk some time to adjust, not only to the materials and surfaces, but also the layout. The bedrooms are downstairs. The main living space is above.
When you come up into this space, you can really understand why you flipped the arrangement round.
Yeah, by putting the living space upstairs, not only do we get glimpses between the houses to the countryside in the distance, but all of this volume just means that the floor space we've got here feels bigger.
This is much nicer this way around. This is the bit you live in, so it's more important to have a view.
It's got everything they could ever need. It is bespoke, and yet all on a budget. There's a custom-made dining table built into the stairs to save space. And in the study, they've pulled a clever trick with the shelving.
We wanted this to feel like a library. We looked at getting some shelving made to measure, but it was eye-wateringly expensive, so we went and bought some off-the-shelf shelving, and it's that one in the middle where, because we've sort of cut that one to fit, it now makes it all feel like it was made to measure.
The RIBA judges admired Stackyard for its sensitivity, the way a new house had been made to fit and fit in right in the heart of a rural Derbyshire village.
This is a very clever house. It punches way above its modest weight. It's designed to sit comfortably with its neighbours. It's experimental and innovative, which I think makes it a very exciting place to live.
Innovation is a word greatly overused in the English language, along with up-and-coming area and amazeballs. Now, true innovation in domestic architecture is a rare thing indeed, but where it does exist, these experimental homes truly push beyond the limits. They are the daredevils, if you like. They like to push harder, lean out further than anybody else.
Our next long lister pushes the limits of what's possible with eco-buildings. Michelle is in Buckinghamshire to find it. This is Lark Rise. Hidden among the trees of the picturesque Chiltern Hills, it's a super low-energy experimental green home. Elegant, unfussy, and yet high-tech. On the ground floor is the master bedroom and guest room, both with ensuite bathrooms, as well as a boot room and combined plant and utility room. Upstairs, the central staircase separates two spaces, a living room on one side and a combined kitchen dining area on the other. It was the idea of a Swiss psychiatrist and animal lover, Hanny Wiedeker, who commissioned it.
I grew up in a family where we did not waste. I don't buy more than I really want to. It's terrible what you find everywhere, especially plastic.
Hanny's dislike of waste led her to build a house that didn't waste a thing. Lark Rise holds on to every last bit of energy. There's high-performance triple glazing, insulated window frames, and super thick insulation. Even the heat from the oven is saved and used to keep the rooms warm.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What was your inspiration for building your own house?
We wanted to construct a building which is quite normal in Germany and Switzerland, where I come from. It's important to save energy in the world, I think. We all know that. We try to make the house which saves energy.
This house doesn't just save energy, it generates more than it uses. It's a mini power station, one of the first of its kind in the UK, with 38 solar panels on the roof. The RIBA judges praised Lark-Rise as a revolutionary net energy positive building. They also admired the high-quality craftsmanship and the atmosphere of serenity the building has.
You see that the beams are horizontal and not vertical, because this makes the house inviting and friendly. If it would be vertical, you would feel like you go in a jail or I don't know what.
There's not a whiff of the penitentiary about the semi-open plan first floor. Delicate, low-carbon eco-concrete supports divide this wide and wonderful space into a living room, central staircase, and a kitchen to the left. There are no prison bars at the windows either. The landscape seems to pour into the building.
We want to look out now, so the cladding had to be that way.
There really is a kind of very natural sense of flow here that I feel is helped completely by all the materials that surround us.
Which are tactile, and the real thing too. Downstairs, the structural concrete makes its cool presence felt throughout the corridors and bedrooms. The smooth poured walls have been left as they were, straight out of the mould that made them. Everything's been pared back to the minimum. Even the doors. I mean, why have two when you can have one?
This is another kind of saving. This is the loo, and if you are on the loo, you can just pull that door and it's closed. You have your privacy for sure in your loo. And anybody is free to use the bathroom without being disturbed.
Two in one door. Either I get privacy in the toilet or I can shut off the whole bathroom. Right.
It probably all gets a bit trickier if there's three of you, but never mind.
It's quite good.
Genius.
It's not my idea. I got it from a hotel near Luton where I was fascinated by this and thought that's a good idea.
Inspiration comes in many forms. The house took 2 painstaking years to build. To make it as efficient as possible, it was heavily insulated and made airtight. Overseeing every stage of the project was Hanny's architect, Justin Beer.
What were the challenges that you faced?
The soil conditions are very, very sticky, and a crane came along in winter and said to the contractor, I'm sorry, I'm not stopping here. It's just too dangerous. I've got a 30-ton crane. If this overturns, it'll crush the building.
But that's got your precious windows that you need to get fitted right now. What did you do?
In desperation, I found a local farmer.
The windows were eventually lifted in with an agricultural telehandler. Building a radical, innovative home like this is a remarkable achievement. More so for Hanny, because she doesn't plan to live in it.
I have over 10 dogs and I have alpacas and many, many more animals. I couldn't have that in this place, so I stay where I am.
You've done this as a kind of an example to kind of show people what's possible.
I'm very satisfied that I can contribute something for the future generations.
Hanny is a trailblazer. In the long term, we'll all benefit from this. Right now, it's the tenants, Zoe and Ian.
Living here is quite different from living in an ordinary house because the bills are an awful lot less.
The electricity bills, yeah. Council tax, isn't it? Yeah.
If I won the lottery, I would love to have a house just like this one.
This house is a real game changer. It shows us the future possibilities of architecture. But what I love the most is that it carries all of that ecological sophistication so lightly and not at the expense of beauty.
We have only one more exquisite home to see from this year's long list before we find out which the RIBA judges have shortlisted for House of the Year. Nanotechnology is the science of building extremely ingenious microscopic machines that could change our culture, revolutionise technology, cure illness. And so it is with our cities. With an ever-increasing demand for space as they begin to bulge. So it pays big to think small. Where is it? It was here.
I'm hunting for the next experimental house in the busy streets of South London. Somewhere among these rows of terraced houses sits one of the smallest homes on the long list.
Ah, you see, it may be petite, but this house has a big presence.
This is Pocket House. Two beautifully crafted boxes balanced delicately on top of one another. Clad in matchstick-thin strips of western red cedar. Occupying an area of only 35 square metres, this is a brave experiment in building as big as possible on a tiny, tiny site. Almost 50% of the living space within Pocket House is below ground. A light well forms a patio area that connects to the two bedrooms, with a bathroom in the opposite corner. The ground floor consists of a hallway, WC and kitchen diner, topped off with a living room on the first floor. This house was designed and built by architects Nicola and Ty, who live here with their two daughters.
Originally on the site was a double garage. It was very small.
Yeah, it wasn't quite clear if we could build a house here.
Some of our friends and family were a little bit uncertain as to what we had actually committed ourselves to.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Kevin.
Nicola, yeah?
Hi.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
Hi,
Ty, how are
welcome.
you? Great, not difficult to find. I mean, even though it's on a small plot, small building, it's kind of, actually, it proclaims itself quite...
It's different than its neighbours.
Stridently.
We could only build within the footprint of the double garage on ground floor.
Wow. And then you decided to make the first floor even smaller.
Well, we had to. Because first floor we had to follow the building line of the terraces, and also towards the rear we had to come in by a meter, not to take the neighbor's sunlight away.
Wow.
This type of house is something you might see more in other really dense places like Tokyo, for example, where people are fighting for every inch of available land.
The judges praised this transformation of an unpromising site and the care and craftsmanship lavished on the project, the effect of which is to magic up a sense of peace, a refuge from the outside world.
Oh,
Come on in.
oh, this is lovely. It's lovely. It's cool as well.
On the ground floor, the kitchen is tranquil, softly toplit, and crafted from simple materials. Danish bricks and Douglas fir joists are all exposed. Plasterboard would have taken up too much space.
So you've reduced your wall makeup to the minimum.
Every millimeter on this project was critical to making the spaces work.
There's not an inch, I mean millimetre, of space wasted in this innovative micro-home. Stairs double as casual seating areas, corridors are kept to a minimum. The kitchen was custom engineered and built in to fit. What Nicola and Ty have achieved is all the more remarkable, given the initial attitude of the local authority.
So what was their view? Did they accept the idea that you could stick a house here?
We received the letter from the local authority was not so positive.
I think reading between the lines of "don't come back," nothing on this site's probably going to be accepted. And so, of course, we took that as a challenge.
By cleverly working within the confines of the tiny plot, it's a challenge they've more than risen to. Pocket House is a triumph of efficiency. The living room upstairs is compact but delightful.
Oh, it's beautiful. I can't believe that piano is integrated into the building. It's kind of sucked into the wall almost, you know. And the wall is the cupboards, is the wall, wherever possible. Very sculptural room.
The atmosphere is entirely created by the light coming through.
In the evening, this space really transforms. The sun coming through the screen throws this beautiful pattern along this wall, so it's the best space to be on that couch there with a book in the evening sun.
By allowing spaces in the building to change personality through the day, they become different spaces, almost like a new room or a new corner for you to enjoy in a different way.
Yeah.
The wizardry of these architects lies in their ability to manipulate light and exploit its changing qualities through the days and seasons. There's also another trick to make a small house feel bigger. Bring in small humans.
My friends think the house is nice. Quite a few of them think that it's quite big because of the rooms are quite big.
They're not really. Let's be honest. Well, OK, apart from the basement, where the 2 bedrooms and the bathroom are. Here they could dig out right to the edges of the site and carry on experimenting.
One big space.
Yeah.
The girls have got bunk beds in actually a really generous room.
They occupy the whole space when they play. It all
Okay,
becomes their
but what, you
play
just
area.
shut this off at night?
But exactly, if they want a bit more privacy or you just
that's
close it.
great. So after they've gone to bed, you get a corridor to your bedroom.
Exactly.
And by day, they get an enlarged bedroom with a desk.
All their stuff.
Without the basement, there wouldn't be a home. It just wouldn't work.
The basement was built by a specialist contractor, digging down almost 4 metres in a tight urban site. The work above ground was supposed to be done by a separate contractor, but shortly after they started, the company went bust.
We had a sort of a weekend to decide what are we going to do. Are we going to take it on ourselves and keep the crew who we had on site together, or are we going to try to find another contractor? So there was a sort of make or break moment where we had to...
What did you do?
Well, we decided to set up on our own as a main contractor, and we took the guys that were
You took the
already
guys
here.
on?
And we took the guys on because they were effectively out of a job.
It was quite stressful at the time just
Yeah.
to make that decision, and
Of course.
not a happy week.
Becoming a main contractor with no previous experience was the experimental gamble of a lifetime. But it paid off brilliantly. The neighbours are fascinated.
I think it's beautiful. I really like it. I'm ashamed to say that I spent a lot of time staring into the windows. You can't see in as much as you could, but I'm quite nosy and I enjoy having a look.
Maybe it's time to invest in 1 or 2 curtains. Pocket House is a marvel of a micro-home, ordered and elegantly understated, changing and adaptive. Demure? No. Deceptive? Yes.
This house is altogether a bit more of a player, a punter. This house took a gamble on this site. This place dances on its feet. Five bold, innovative and, well, bonkers homes, which each try something a little different. But which of them do the RIBA judges think worthy of a place on the shortlist?
Cork House, the vegetarian Lego brick home that's radically simple and sustainable. Nithurst Farm, a house that seemingly spans the centuries and plays evocative tricks on the mind. Stackyard, a shape-shifted home that delivers fantastic value and experiences. Lark Rise, the high-performance eco-house that's also a power station. And the poetic Pocket House, a seemingly large home that brilliantly defies its tiny plot. John Pardee, the chair of the judging panel,
fabulous,
can tell us which is the first home to make it onto this year's shortlist.
So, John, what have you shortlisted in the experimental category?
The first is Nithurst Farm in Sussex.
Why shortlist this project?
It's beautiful. It's slightly bonkers in the most lovely way. It felt curiously like some kind of big cathedral. It isn't that big, but inside it's concrete and it all confounds you. So it's this kind of labyrinth, which is enticing.
The games it plays extend to ideas about how old it really might be, or...
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's just poetry in 3D.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're absolutely thrilled. Well, are you?
It feels great, yeah. All that hard work has really paid off, so really wonderful news.
So, Nithurst Farm makes the shortlist, but there's room for one more experimental home.
So this is the second project you've shortlisted?
This is the Pocket House in South London.
What do you think clinched it for the judges here?
It's exquisite. Very precisely done. This house was beautifully detailed. Every tiny thing was thought through. The light is gorgeous in there. You never feel trapped in a small room. Very clever.
And this is a great exercise of that, isn't it? In kind of demonstrating how you get everything you need in a relatively small plot.
Absolutely.
you serious? That's so cool.
It's amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Quite an unexpected
Yeah,
result.
I'm completely. I'm.
Very unexpected.
Let's have a party.
So the competition begins, with Nithurst Farm and Pocket House making the shortlist. 5 more will join them before we find out who's won the RIBA House of the Year 2019.
It's important to remember that experimentation is bound up with failure. But there again, it's absolutely imperative to establish what doesn't work before you can prove what does. And what marks out the great innovators, the game changers, is their ability to pick themselves up out of failure again and again, to persevere and then triumph. We need more mad scientists in the world. Fewer mad architects, admittedly, but more mad scientists.
Next time, we'll be looking at houses that work with their surroundings.
The bees have already started making nests in there.
5 more breathtaking homes, all with a story to tell.
We once had an egg thrown at it.
Oh, that's brave.
OK, now this is exciting.